late on a Thursday evening for us. We've got a special guest today who is currently auditioning for his role in The Invisible Man. Because he turns up, we'll add him. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about content marketing. So hopefully he'll turn up. If he doesn't, it's Tim's fault because Tim arranged all this. You let Tim arrange one show. This is the 61st show. This is the first one I let him arrange.
Well, I tried. No, the reason being is that our guest this evening is actually in Hawaii, so it's a 10-hour difference, and we were just trying to make sure we did the maths correctly for the time zone alteration. So if he turns up, great. If he doesn't, what the hell? It means we're
carry our own. Right. So we are going to talk about content marketing, and I know we discussed it before with Daniel, and I mean I've been going through some courses recently, and there is nothing you can probably do for your business that will have more benefit than writing or creating good quality content. Because once you've got just even one good content piece, just one, you can drive a load of traffic to it. You can engage people. You can then, if you get like good comments, you can then send out emails with those comments and drive more people to it. 2 weeks ago, was it? I created a piece of content all about what I've learned by spending $3,000 on AppSumo. All I did then was tweet out AppSumo. Actually, no, I didn't. I logged a call to help desk and said, "Hey, I've just written this. Can you check it? Can you check it for that everything I've written is correct?" That's not really what I wanted. I sent that message just so they would look at it and go, "Oh, we like that." And they did what I half expected them to do. They came back and went, "Hey, I thought they'd actually tweet it out." No, they said, "No, can you write us a piece of content?" Which I've written. It was approved yesterday, so sometime very soon I'm going to have an article on the AppSumo website. That article I wrote initially took me about an hour and a half, 90 minutes. And yeah, so I can't think of anything that I could have done in an hour or 90 minutes that would have had more bang for the amount of time. Even if one person comes from AppSumo, I've still got a link on one of the most popular high traffic sites on the internet. Hi Mark, good to see you. Hi Ian. Let us know who's on tonight, because obviously this is a different time that we're normally on.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a different audience tonight, so we've got to stop all the English related jokes. We've got to be multicultural tonight.
So whilst Mark was just talking, then I just went on to my Google Analytics for the last 30 days, and I went and basically I did a search. If you go into your own Google Analytics, you can do this as well. Basically, look for set the date range for the last 30 days, and then look at the landing pages the landing pages under behavior, and you can see very quickly if you. I basically have all of my blog posts under the sub basically the folder of blogs on my site, so I can quickly kind of sort through. Okay, these are all the blog posts that are on my site, because obviously I'm on Shopify, not on WordPress, so I can see which ones are the most trafficked landing pages. So ideally, most of these are going to come from, most of the traffic to these particular blog posts are going to be organic. So last month we got 1,539 sessions, so approximately 1,300 users actually looking at blog posts on my site as the landing page, so the first page of entry. And some of the top ones, they're getting 400-500 odd sessions, which is great. So you can actually see very quickly what people are interested in, what Google is ranking, and all sorts of things. So that's the simple way of looking at it from analytics perspective. But it gives me an idea of like, okay, so if those are ranking, what else can I do? And it's in terms of what content can I create that will potentially also rank organically on Google. So one of the things that I've been doing recently is basically answering an awful lot of questions. Now, if you go onto something like Answer the Public, as an example, or even just go to Google and look to see what the snippets are what the snippets are for your particular keyword. So type in your main keyword, you can see the main questions or the main queries that people post onto Google. So, and you would, it makes sense for you to go and figure out what people are asking on Google about your particular thing. So I'm going to do that right now. Actually, let's see if I can share my screen. Actually, let's see if we can do that whilst we're on. Hold on a second. This is where I'm going to let Mark allow me to share my screen. Share screen. Share screen. Entire screen. Share. So we're going to get a funky.
Yeah, there we go.
Google.
If I put that in the main screen, there we go.
So hopefully you can see my screen, yeah?
I can see a screen perfectly, mate.
Awesome. So if I look for super greens powder, which is one of my main keywords. So one of the things I look for, as you can see, with it's because I'm logged in at the moment, it's showing me some data for that particular keyword. But people ask, is super greens powder good for you? What are the benefits of taking super greens? What is the best super greens? How do you use super greens or super green powder? So what we've done is we've answered some of these questions. I don't think I'm ranking for any of these in the snippets, but certainly further down the line, I will be ranking for things like how to mix super greens for best taste, for example. And that attracts quite a lot of search volume for us. So you can see I've got an ad running for it as well, but what if it's got it organically? It probably is on the second page now because of the way that Google has changed the rankings lately. It's not appearing, but as you can see, I've got an ad for it running as well. So it's one of the most popular pieces of content that we've got, and we are actually running a Google ad to that piece of content because we know that there's quite a few searches for it. So we try to rank it that way. So I wrote that article probably 3 years ago, and since then we've done various updates to that particular article. I'm going to cost myself some money by clicking on it so you can see what it looks like. And it's a fairly simple article.
Click fraud, mate.
I know. So it's got videos in there, it's got images, it's got like recipes and all sorts of stuff. So it's quite a long post in there. Looks good on a mobile. Really, really very, very simple to create. And that is basically starts off from a piece of content I wrote a couple of years ago, and now it's ranking quite nicely for that particular keyword term for super greens powder. So that's how you can create content and have content drive traffic to you. It's really not that complicated at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually going, keep on talking. If you keep on talking, I'm digging out one of my articles. So I wrote this article called How to Come Up with a Blog Name. It is 1,600 words long. It ranks for over 3,000 different phrases, all about naming your blog. And that's something you couldn't buy.
No, absolutely. There's something actually that I've just noticed a comment from Ian talking about a resource that you can use to find topics that are getting are ranking and rating at the moment. And of course, you can use Google Trends, but explodingtopics.com is actually quite an interesting one because it shows all of like the terms that are exploding, as the thing suggests. So I was on there the other day and I found one, basically the search term or the keyword collagen or collagen powder. And like it shows me though the last 5 years, the trend of like searches for that particular topic. So I know for me personally, that's an interesting topic. It might also be an interesting product for me to create within my business. So yeah, it'd be worthwhile us to, at the very least, start creating some content around around collagen and the collagen powder, to see what kind of interest and what kind of traffic we can draw into our business. So explodingtopics.com is definitely an interesting one to look at.
Yeah, I'm just trying. It's a bit slow because I'm running StreamYard, so I'm just trying to find site content. That's what I'm after. Or pages.
Collagen greens, yeah. It's interesting that Randall's just made a comment like collagen greens in the comment section. There's actually, it's a very interesting subject. It's like we've actually come up with a collagen powder. We've got a collagen sauce that we can use, and actually mixing it with our greens, actually, because of the way the flavor that we've created in for the collagen of lemon and lime, it makes our greens taste even better. So there is a temptation to mix the two together and put it into one product. Although, to be honest with you, I profit more from actually having them as two separate products and have it as a mixer to make your greens taste better. So yeah, interesting comment.
Yeah, so that article I wrote back in 2017. So January. So basically 3 years ago. I've had 25,000 visitors. It took me 2 hours to write.
And that's one of the great things with like content marketing. One of the things that is I've struggled with over the last 12, 18 months or so is this whole Facebook ad anxiety, which is you're running an ad campaign and it's working right now. But the problem is that you don't know tomorrow whether Facebook's going to go, nah, I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to see your ads anymore. So it either racks up the price or it bans your ad completely. So like, for example, Q4 last year, the cost per thousand, the CPMs on Facebook for me increased from £5 up to £20 cost per thousand, which is outrageous. So I basically had to turn off my ads because it was just unprofitable to run them. And I was quite happy to a certain degree, I was quite happy to sit on my budget for a couple of months, waiting for December 26th to start running them again, where the ad prices plummeted again. The problem with that is that you're always at the mercy of Facebook or Google or whatever platform, and you're essentially renting traffic from Facebook and Google rather than only owning it yourself. So Mark, have a chat for a second, because I think Jeff has just come online. So
okay, cool. So in one thing that I've noticed, it got reiterated when I was looking at my stats there. My top rank, or the articles with the most number of views and most visitors every single day, are the ones that start, how much do blogs earn? How do you name a blog? What are the free stock photo sites? They're all question based. So what I'd recommend doing is have a look at your blog, or if you're planning a blog, plan a blog, come up with 5 normal articles, and then come up with 2 articles that relate to questions that people ask. Publish them, and then look at the traffic. And I guarantee that the ones that answer the questions would probably get most traffic. One other thing is your traffic tends to go. Let me see if I can draw this. It's like a little bit like, no, I can't draw this. No, I can't control my finger. It's like a hill shaped. Yeah, something like that. So it goes up, and then it will start to drop down again. When you see it dropping down, go back into that article and rewrite it a little bit. So do a 2020 version. Oh, we have a guest.
Hey.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Sort this out. Which way are we going to do it? No, not that way.
That's probably all right to start with.
I'll find a better way, best way for it. There
we go. Morning, Jim. How you doing, buddy?
I can't hear anything.
Hey, so sorry for being late, guys. The time change, and I just updated my computer operating system last night, so the calendar's not sending notifications.
That's
and
right.
Between the two, here we are. And I was like, wait a second, I better check. And lo and behold, I am 15 minutes late. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. We're already started. We're already live. So
For sure.
we've been filling in a little bit and chatting about content marketing in general.
For sure.
So what we'll do is we'll introduce you, because it's likely that a lot of the people that are coming on to our call probably have no idea who you are. So
right.
This is Jeff. Is it Jeff Wenberg, or is it pronounced slightly different?
Wenberg. Yep. Wenberg. That's right.
Wenberg. Okay. So Jeff is the director of marketing at Zipify apps. Some people who are in the Shopify world will be aware of Zipify apps. They do Zipify pages, and they do Zipify one-click upsell, and I think they do. You've got a couple of other products as well, kind of bouncing around and bits and pieces like that. So, Zipify is the Mark's clicking his fingers like a madman. I'm not sure whether can he hear us or not. I'm not sure. He's looking a bit mystified by it all. Technology, eh? Also, Jeff is you originally worked for Leadpages, that's right, isn't it?
Yep. Way back, like when Leadpages first started.
Yeah, so you're one of the very early employees at Leadpages.
Yep.
So between Leadpages and sorry, Mark will come back in a second. Between Leadpages and Zipify, obviously with Leadpages you were working with Clay Collins, which must have been a hell of an experience of somebody who with that much energy and growth expectation, and now you're working with people like Ezra Firestone, equally ramping stuff up really fast. That must be a really exciting position to be in. Yeah,
it's definitely been cool. I feel super grateful for like opportunity and just getting to learn from both people. It's helped various skill sets, because everybody kind of like has their own expertise, but I feel like because I've gotten to learn from quite a few different like experts, it's given me like a really good, well-rounded marketing knowledge, and it's fun getting to apply that stuff to Zipify and to like my own stuff that I work on, and just like friends that need help and all that kind of stuff. It's fun stuff for sure.
So cool. So as well as obviously working for Zipify and for Leadpages, you're at heart, you're an internet entrepreneur as well, and your passion is in lead generation and content creation and everything to do with lead acquisition and optimization for making sales and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
What kind of things have you done for yourself as well? Because if you've been involved, because obviously Zipify and Leadpages are very SaaS orientated. Have you done anything sort of for your own products as well?
Yeah, for sure. So back when I was at Leadpages, I started a company called Smart Video Metrics, and that was for kind of like tracking conversions off of videos. So I built that out, and about a year later, I sold that company and moved on to I don't remember what was between there, but the next kind of thing that I worked on was after I started with Ezra in the e-commerce space. I started a diaper brand because I also had a 1-year-old baby at that point. And so I was going through a ton of diapers, and it was like, oh man, these are really bad. And so I started a biodegradable, disposable diaper company called Diaperful, and did that for like about a year, and got to the point where it was like, I'm gonna have to make a large investment to like order more stock and to like cover everything that was kind of required to grow the business, and decided to just fold that one because I didn't love the diaper business enough to get that deep into it. So it was just like, all right, I love that what we've done with like the engagement with the audience. So let's kind of like take what we've learned here and move it to the next thing. And right now that's like what I'm working on with a project called Commonwealth Today. And it's just like next generation financial education for people that want to like put their money to work for them. So it's not like, let's live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a good, between those businesses, Zipify, Leadpages, it's like a really good, like put it all, out there, like utilize all the skills from everything. And then what's cool is I also like still continue to like learn stuff from other people that are out there doing it. By being at Zipify and Smart Marketer, I get to see kind of like, cool things that are working, and then I can turn around and share those with friends and that kind of stuff. So it's like a fun world. Kind of everything like helps everything else, and that's what I love about it.
Cool. I think Mark has been fairly well amused by the potential marketing names for a diaper brand.
Yeah.
But I can imagine shitty marketing. So.
Yeah, I'm not normally this quiet. I just had some problems with the mic and audio as soon as you came in, so not sure what that was. But welcome.
It's all right. Sometimes we get a little bit of feedback with this tool. So to kind of go back to a little bit, just before we actually carry on, anybody who's online on Facebook or on YouTube, put in your comments and questions for Jeff as we go along. We'll do our best to kind of cover questions as we go along. In terms of content marketing, what's kind of, would you say, is your overall philosophy on it? Is it quality, quantity? Are we talking more of like excessive promotion of the content you're creating, repurposing, or is it all of the above?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of all of the above, but it's definitely like got to be quality. So that's kind of like the given in all of this, is it has to be quality, both in terms of like what you're saying, and then also like the audio and video quality. On the technical side of like audio video, I will say audio is generally more important than the quality of the video, just because if people can't hear you, it's harder for them to like tune into the video. They'll generally like, forgive some lower quality video if the audio quality is still high, because they can still like understand everything, engage with it. But if it's vice versa, you have really good video and not good audio, you're not going to see as good a result. So that's like the technical, like it has to, kind of be up to par. And then as far as like content and like what you're making content about, that definitely, it needs to, first and foremost, it has to provide value. Like there has to be like something that people are getting out of it, other than just like, hey, check out this video all about us, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, why does somebody want to watch this video? Like, what are they going to get out of it? And there has to be some benefit that you generally need to figure out before you make the content. Like, why would somebody want to watch this? What are they going to get out of it? And then like back into the content once you know that. Does that make sense? Yeah,
no, absolutely. So one of the things that actually I've just literally finished reading a book. I think it's called They Ask, You Answer. It's Marcus Sheridan, and very much along those kind of the same lines, where it's basically the way that consumers are, the way that people want to buy things. They do an awful lot more of their own research online, and they're looking for answers to their questions, the things that they're not quite sure about. They look for a lot more content than ever before. And one of the things as businesses that we've actually failed to answer a lot of the kind of like the important questions. We're always very good at talking about ourselves and talking about how great our product is, but not actually answering basic questions. So for my particular business with Lean Greens, it's like the main question that we get pretty much on a daily basis is, what does it taste like? And it's like, what does a greens drink taste like? Because most people that we, that we're selling to have never tried a greens drink before. So we've now been creating content that answers that question. It's like, what does a greens drink taste like? What causes it to taste like that? How can we improve the quality of the taste? Things like that. So it's an interesting kind of, it's a different way of about it, rather than just going, hey,
Right.
take lean greens, it tastes awesome kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because like people, like kind of what you said, they're doing their research, and if you're answering their questions before they ask them, they're more likely to just be like, oh, cool, let's try lean greens, versus like if you're just making something that's like, oh, it tastes awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what does that even mean? People don't have any context. And so recently kind of have circled back to somebody that I'd love to recommend to the audience, because it's been really helpful to me. I've been doing this for a long time, and it was still like, oh man, this is like really, really smart. And that's content that Brandon Lucero from Sold with Video is putting out, all about thought reversal videos. It basically does what we're talking about here, but in like a way smarter way. So you're not just creating how-to videos and more content that like everybody else is putting out. You're like providing that value, and like you're, for lack of a better term, you're reversing their thought, and like in showing why, you know, like the foundations that you have as a company or as a person or whatever are like a new way they should be thinking about it. It's really cool stuff. I think they also have a like a training coming up here in the next couple weeks where they're gonna like go into it. But it's been, I would say it's like actually started like changing how I think about like creating content, like just across the board, because it's like that powerful. Because it's like taking you away from just like everybody else that's also doing the same type of stuff, and kind of like tweaking your content so it's more effective, sets you apart from everybody, and like positions you as a thought leader. So it's really cool. You should check it out.
So before we move on from that point, what was, just a quick reminder, what was the name of the person again? Brandon?
Oh yeah, Brandon Lucero.
Okay.
And the website, I think, is soldwithvideo.com, perhaps. The company name is definitely Sold with Video.
Okay.
And then I see Bart, thanks for signing up, man. Hope you enjoy that. And then Randall had a question about outsourcing and that kind of stuff. And so for outsourcing, I definitely outsource video editing and some other things. But you can't just like, hey, person, like take care of this. Like I'm still planning the content. I have to film it. I have to kind of like direct it, but somebody else actually like goes and edits it for me and that kind of stuff. So there isn't really a way to like hands off, like, hey, you do the content. You still have to be involved in it. You just don't have to always do the like the nitty gritty, like video editing as an example.
Yeah.
You still have to provide basically everything for them to put it together how you see it in your head. So that's just a clarification on that question there.
Sure. No, I think it's the case for a lot of what I do internally as well, is that I will write a piece of content, and I'll do the actual creation of, say, an article or a blog post. I'll then pass it on to my, content person, Ellie, who then tidies it up. She finds all the images, she edits it all, sticks it into Zipify pages to make it look pretty. And it's like, it means that I'm not getting bogged down in like the prettification or like the fine tuning, which I know that Ellie does a whole lot better than I do.
Yep.
And it sounds like that's the same kind of thing that what you're doing with the video. It's like you do the raw video, make sure the quality of the content is good, and you pass it on to somebody else to kind of like bring the creative side together a bit.
Yep, that's right.
Cool. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about is actually something that Ezra does. Ezra's done, or it's almost become a little bit famous for, with he has one piece of content that has generated literally millions of dollars worth of revenue. And it's interesting because people go, oh, well, do I just need to create one piece of content that's actually going to set me free and create millions and millions of dollars?
Right.
My question is, I don't know how much you were involved in any of that in terms of like, putting that piece of content up, testing it, split testing it, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Did it happen by, I hate using the word luck, but did it happen by luck, or was there an intense amount of split testing of headlines, opening sequence, where the opt-ins are, and all that kind of thing? How did that come out?
Yeah, for sure. So the ones for Boom, I'm not directly like involved with, but
Sure.
I see them. We use them as examples in Smart
Yeah.
Marketer and Zipify and everything. So definitely like, you know, can speak enough on it. And I'll say that it was not by luck. They test and then figure out like, okay, most of this one's like heat maps, like just the whole 9 yards for testing and tracking to see like results. And then like, oh, I wonder if we could improve like this section of the page. So let's like do something here. And basically they're always just like testing new things to see like how, like just as one example, like let's test a different header image and see how that affects things. And then the winner of that becomes like the new standard for that page. And then they'll just move on, like keep testing things. And then eventually they'll have one where it's like, okay, this works good. And then they'll just continue to like keep testing new ideas and things as they happen. And also they'll, come up with new articles or whatever it may be, and test them against each other and all that kind of stuff, and find the one that's always going to like provide the best results. And then that becomes like the new standard that they base everything else on.
So in terms of, obviously, I've certainly seen Ezra talk an awful lot about how he drives an awful lot of traffic to that through from Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest or whatever, all that kind of thing. Is there a certain level of is he doing an awful lot organically as well, SEO wise, to drive traffic to that, or is it just purely a bridge content piece in between the original pitch on the Facebook ads, which then drives people through?
Yeah. So SEO is, sorry, one sec.
That's all right.
SEO kind of like plays into it a little, but it's almost like that's the second game. The first priority is ads and paid amplification, just because like we've got things figured out to the point that like we know at least roughly like dollar in equals this much out over the course of everything. So it's like, since we have that figured out, let's just go straight for like what's going to get us the best result. And usually like organic SEO takes a lot longer to like get results. So that's almost like a secondary benefit of using paid amplification, because all of that gets better because you get more traffic to the page, you get more people like linking to it, all that kind of stuff. So it's one of those, like they both go hand in hand, but our focus is generally on paid amplification.
Sure. So now that obviously Ezra's got this amazing piece of content that, one piece of content that produces all this revenue.
Yeah.
I presume there is now kind of a strategy of, say, for example, you go, okay, well, I've got a completely different business now that, say, for example, the Smart Marketer stuff or even Zipify apps kind of stuff. And you go, okay, well, how can we model what they've done on Boom, but in Smart Marketer and Zipify? Is there a particular starting point that you go for and you use to create that piece of content? Is there kind of like a structure, a model almost that you follow?
Yeah, sure. For the most part, it's always like Ezra calls them listicles.
Yeah.
So it's always like 5 things or 4 things or whatever that get like that equal whatever result like your audience is after. So like for the Boom audience, it's 5 makeup tips for like older women or something like that. So for Zipify, it was trying to think. There was one pre-sale article that we have that is like, I think it's like 3 or 4 things learned from $1 million in upsell revenue. And it's just like lays out the things that you should do in your upsells and why it's important. So again, that circles back to what we were talking about with like, you have to have quality that people get value from. And it's not just like, hey, buy our app, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like even if they didn't get the app or, like Boom's products or whatever, they're still getting value out of the article. That's kind of like the key, is it has to be super valuable. So people are like, oh my God, that was awesome. Let me like, what is this product that they have? Because it's usually the value add at the top, then like a transition, and then basically all pitch for the product after that. And you will get, you know, some sales off of that if it's well written and it transitions good and everything. But then you can also like retarget people that have been there. You can, you know, do all of the advanced marketing stuff, but that's kind of like a good entry point for top of funnel. Cool.
So, you know, I think it's a really interesting case study of actually how content marketing can, it's not just about SEO. Because a lot of the stuff that Mark and I have talked about actually just before you came on was a lot of it's SEO based, where we're answering specific questions that people have about a product type, or whether it's, one of the pieces of content Mark was talking about was a piece that he created, having spent $3,000 on AppSumo. What did he find? What did he discover? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those kind of pieces of content, you know, it's not necessarily about spending money to them, although we can do that. It's like we do it for the SEO play rather than the amplification model. So
and what you can do, like, I mean, that sounds super interesting because people are always like wondering about that. You can totally like amplify that too and have benefits of both, because I would assume people are going to get value out of it either way, and it's just another touch point with your audience and your brand, like between your audience and your brand. And the more of those they have, the more familiar they're going to be, the easier they're going to be to, you know, convert and all that kind of stuff. But like, as using that example, it's like, oh, I would totally like run traffic to that, because like across the board, it's one of those things where it's just going to like make everything better. Not only like SEO, but also like traffic to the page. And there's just, I mean, the only downside with paid amplification is like, you know, it might not convert, but if you look at it in terms of it's an investment into your brand, and it's not just like, oh, I lost money, you know, it's like, technically, yes, maybe you did, but it's more like an investment in getting people pixeled, getting them like, at least it might be the first touch point with your brand. So it's at least like that. And then once that is done, they're kind of like in your sphere of influence, then you might find them again with something else, and you might retarget them with another article. So there's a lot of stuff that is a benefit of paid amplification. And like, you can tell that I'm a big proponent of it. And the main reason is it just like SEO takes so long to just find out that it's not going to work. So, I mean, if you don't have the resources to do paid ads, that's totally cool. And it's a great way to like get started. It just like takes so long to get results. So I would rather like invest a little bit of money, find out it's not working, and be like, okay, cool. Now we know, let's move on to the next thing, or like, why wasn't it working, or whatever that may be. And then like optimize it, send some more traffic, figure it out. But if it's a well-written like SEO piece and it's already like ranking, I mean, it's kind of like send some traffic there and see what happens, because that's probably like close to a no-brainer.
I think that's kind of the approach that I've had over the last few years, is that I've written content that has then ranked. And I was just showing, but just before you came on, actually, I did a search, and you can see my advert for a piece of content on Google when somebody does a search for my primary keywords. So I'm amplifying it after I've ranked it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is it's a slightly different, but I suppose you could almost end up forcing it to rank better by amplifying it first.
Yeah. Have you seen like good results by doing that?
By doing it the other way. So basically, where I rank for it from an organic SEO perspective, and then amplifying it. It's just a way of when somebody's searching for our primary keywords, it's just driving people to our brand rather than, and it's not a straight out pitch kind of thing. So the kind of content that we're talking about is like how to make your super greens powder taste better. That's the article. So when somebody is doing that search, which I know is what a lot of people are looking for, it's like they come across our brand, and then we're pixeling them and then converting them later, further down the line. And we're building up that kind of know, like, and trust with that person for our brand, rather than them going for some cheaper, nastier tasting product that they might find if they just did a search based upon price.
So, and that's really like what we're trying to do with like the value-based approach anyway, is like know, like, and trust. So it's easier to, so however you get there is good.
Yeah. So the question that's just popped up from Bart says, Zipify apps a Shopify only product? I'm a WooCommerce guy. I know the answer.
Say, Bart, switch over to Shopify, man.
Yeah, you got to switch to Shopify. I do keep on trying to persuade everybody to move over to Shopify, because it's way easier. It's way less headache than the WooCommerce approach. So, but yeah, it's Shopify only, I'm afraid. But actually, that's a good thing, because the guys at Zipify can focus on developing the best Shopify app possible.
All right. There's a question here, and I'm sure we all know the answer to this, or we can come up with ways of actually answering it. So that it's too bad that there isn't an age generational search tool or app creating content to meet the question needs of very focused audience would be a ton easier. Where's Jeff gone?
Has he disappeared? Oh, there he is.
He's back again. So my idea on this one is, well, you can actually do this. If you create an article, start running some $1 or $2 a day adverts to it across a whole broad range of demographics, and then see who comes and reads the article. And that's one way you would find that sort of the search tool, the age, the demographics. But I'll let you guys answer it as well.
That's a great strategy. Randall, like, my follow-up question would just kind of maybe be like, can you provide a little more context as to, like, you know, are you serving like an older market or something that you're not in, or like, can you give us a little more context as to, you know, why you're having a hard time kind of creating that content?
I think one of the challenges, and I suppose, I think obviously Google Ads is getting a whole lot better at answering questions that are relevant to the searcher that's searching. They're actually, you know, the machine learning, the way that it's based upon search intent rather than actual keywords, is actually meaning that the quality of the search results is a lot better. The key bit is creating either content or driving people to content that is relevant to the audience that you're serving. So yeah, exactly. If you're trying to reach the boomer market, you know, who wants to start a business, it's like, yeah, you've got to write content, and you've got to write ads that are relevant to that particular audience. So like, you know, you kind of almost identify, you get the searcher or the person on Facebook self-identifying by going, are you a boomer? Do you want to start a new career? Blah blah blah. That, and
remember MacGyver?
Yeah.
Did you watch the 18 first time round? There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I did watch both, just for everybody's reference. Man,
wow,
I loved MacGyver. I was a little young for the 18, but MacGyver, loved that show.
I think every entrepreneur must have loved MacGyver, because that's where it started. Working out ways of doing stuff with a baked bean can and a bit of string.
Oh, that's funny. So
that's
also,
actually, Ian's come up with a really good answer, a bit of pop doodling.
That would mean absolutely nothing to Jeff.
I know. I was about to explain what fop doodling is. In fact, Tim, you explain what fop doodling is.
No, I'm not going to explain.
No one's going to explain what fop doodling is, but we all know what it is.
I'm not even going to try. Right. Oh dear.
I'll get Tim to send you a document on fop doodling.
Yeah. And
it works really well.
Yes. Oh man, all of the 80s.
For those of you wondering about fop doodling, if you're in the pro group, check out the document we have in the pro group. It will change your marketing forever if you apply the principles.
If anything, it's essentially creating content that is for your your population, your audience that is relevant to them, and it's not about direct kind of like smashing people over the head with sales and stuff like that.
For sure.
That's probably the worst description of pop doodling ever.
Yeah.
Dear.
Like,
a very good friend of ours came up with
pop doodling on. So
the I mean, one thing that I found that has always been like a real good, I guess, for lack of a better term, like guiding thing for me and like my personal projects is when I'm like actually a target market of the product or service that I'm working on. Because not only does it like make it easier to like, oh man, let's see, what would I have wanted when I was like facing this problem? So Tim, as an example with Lean Greens, like, let's say that was my company and it was like, oh man, well, let's see, when I first like started, taking a greens drink, like what were like the things that I was like kind of having problems with? And, let's just say it was like the taste. Oh man, I tried a bunch and the taste was like kind of gross. So I created my own. And like, you can use yourself as like a guinea pig. And I know like, not everybody is their own avatar, but I will say that it does help and make things a lot easier if you are at least somewhat your own avatar. Maybe if you're an avatar that's in a different like age group, all you need to do then is get the hook that'll like for Randall's question. If he's not like a boomer, maybe all he has to do is figure out like, hey, how do I phrase this intro so it resonates with baby boomers? And then like all of the rest of the content's the same. So just as one tip, if you don't have a business that's rocking and rolling, that's always something to consider. Like, are you the target market or are you not? And if so, like, how could you leverage that to your benefit?
Oh, Michael, that is brilliant.
Oh, that's funny.
If only he copyrighted the Amazon Herb Company, he'd be a billionaire by now.
Dear,
That's
brilliant. So one of the other questions I got is in terms of the type of content that you produce. Obviously, I've seen a lot of your video content rather than actual written content.
Yep.
So obviously you favor video over written. Is that just because the video is what you're naturally like accustomed to, or is it more that you find that video it converts better, or moves
Sure.
the audience better? How do you what's the reason for the emphasis on the video?
Yeah. So naturally, I just gravitate towards video. Ezra does as well. And so, and at Leadpages, like it was just video. So there's like kind of just like a, that's like, oh, cool, my strong suit's there. But outside of just that, like you can repurpose video for blog posts, you can repurpose video for podcasts, you can repurpose it for all this different stuff. Whereas if it's just written, now I'm going to have to like make a video specifically about this blog post. Now I'm going to have like, you can't as easily repurpose it. So it's just, I feel like it's a medium that's way easier for people to engage with and for you to repurpose as a company.
Cool. So in terms of like, for somebody who's maybe a little bit scared of getting in front of a camera, or even just feels that they don't have the skills to create a video, where would you recommend somebody? How would you recommend somebody start? What kind of content should we be producing? Sure. Is it short length stuff, like, or is it live video like we're doing right now? What would you say is the best way for somebody who's a bit nervous to get started on that kind of thing?
So the first thing I'd say is, are you sure it's that you're afraid to be on video? Because most of us have taken a selfie made, like these days with phones, like most people have been on video and they haven't been scared.
Yeah.
It's more like probably fear of the unknown than anything. And all I can say is just, even if it's like grab your phone, film yourself. Because actually like that's what's starting to like resonate more, is like the real video that is showing your personality, showing you know, your viewpoints and everything. And then what that does is it lets people say, like, do I like this person? I mean, you know, not like, oh, they suck or whatever, but do I agree with their viewpoints? Do I want to engage with them more? And it's almost like a filter. It attracts everybody that resonates, and it doesn't attract anybody that doesn't resonate. So then the people that you do kind of connect with, those are the people that want the stuff that you're putting out. And yeah, Randall, fear of judgment for sure. That's pretty much like the key factor. But the thing is, if you are going to be in business and you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to get judged. So you might as well say F that and just do it anyway. Because like, whether like you're the best brand on the planet or the worst, people are still going to judge you either way. So it's one of those, like, whatever. And really their judgment doesn't matter at all. It's like what you, as like, you know, like you and your thoughts are all, and if somebody else has another thought, that doesn't really matter. It doesn't have any impact on you or affect you in any way unless you let it. And that's the thing, is it's just like, you're going to get judged. I mean, you know, like a mentor of mine showed me, so I'm a huge Elvis fan. I'll make this like really quick, right? So I'm a huge Elvis fan, and he showed this group a video of Elvis's last performance. And he just put it there and said, like, what do you think about this? That's it. He didn't like give any context. And the comments were all like, oh man, he's so fat and disgraceful. And man, listen to that voice. He could still sing. Like, it was literally like night and day. And so he was just pointing out that, like, even the most successful people still get like hardcore judged. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Real, like,
all you
go ahead.
Okay, all you got to do is read any YouTuber's comments.
Yeah,
you'll have 50% going, you're brilliant, and 50% going, you're a tosser.
Yep, exactly.
I think some of the other,
no matter what they say, they're still making money from the views.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you know, like, those comments, they do help ads and all that kind of stuff. Facebook and all that kind of stuff, they don't like differentiate between positive and negative comments. It's more just like, how many comments does this ad have? Oh, cool. Well, people must be loving it if they're commenting.
It's interesting you say that. It's like one of the things I've done over the last sort of 12.
Let me guess. Answer every comment on your Facebook feed?
I've answered every single comment on my Facebook feed, every single one. And the reason for doing it is that it's like, everybody's got a comment, and like, even if it's a really, really naff comment, or somebody's made some snarky remark about supplements being a waste of time and all this kind of stuff, you know, they've taken the time to put a comment up, so I'm going to give them the time to respond. But what they don't realize is that obviously it makes a difference to the ability for the ad to rank. It gives me cheaper views and everything. It's amazing. So absolutely. They might be slating my product, but I'm still getting cheaper views. So, which is, oh dear. And one of the things I was going to say was, like, I think the issue with video and people being afraid of creating video is actually a generational thing as well. If you think about the 20 and 30-year-olds of the world, they're so much more used to, like, grabbing their phone and doing a selfie, or recording a video, or getting onto Snapchat and all that kind of stuff. The 40 and 50-year-olds amongst us, and maybe older in Mark's case, who knows? Basically, we're not. You know, when we think of video, we think of TV production, and it's got to look good. And it's got to be polished and all that kind of thing. And that, I think that puts a lot of people, certainly older people, off from suddenly putting themselves in front of a camera. Yeah,
and I agree. And so I see Vlad's comment. I just wanted to respond there about turning written articles into videos with moving images. And he's reading the article as audio. Not amazing, but it's a start. So you're totally a great start. The only thing I would say is, like, you kind of have to compete in today's marketplace, and that stuff doesn't really fly like it used to in like 2013, 2014, where you know, you could do that and like rank a video and like get traffic and all that kind of stuff. But like people want even though it's not technically face-to-face, they want to see who the person is. They want that engagement. So Vlad, what I would recommend is just try your next one face to camera. Like here's what's going to happen. You're probably not going to like it, but publish it anyway. Then do another one, publish it anyway. And eventually, you know, you're going to get like 50 videos down and look back at your first one and be like, oh man, like that video is kind of horrible, but look how far I've come. And now my videos are pretty decent. That's the landing page. I always call it, I use the S word, but I always call it my SHITTY landing page. It's always like the first version. It's always crappy. And what I always have to do that, because then it's like, okay, cool. Now I have a starting point. I can see like, oh man, this section really looks bad. I need to fix that one. But if I don't like get it down so I can look at it, then there's no way to like optimize it. It's all just like, well, I just need a good one. If I never have a start, then I can never make it good. So I always just kind of like equate my crappy landing page as like, that's like the starting point. And then from there, make it better.
There's a really cool app called Vlog Easy. And basically you put it on your phone and you record whatever you want to record. If you make a mistake, you just stop. So if you pause for more than 2 seconds, it adds basically a slice in there. So you can go through it and you can just cut out the bits you don't want. And
nice.
You know, it takes a couple of attempts to get it right. But when you do, it does all the fast cuts for you, joins it all together, and allows you to post it. It's really, really good. So
that's awesome.
Vlog Easy, try it.
I think actually one of the best ways of getting used to doing video and recording video is doing exactly what we're doing right now. For whatever reason, Siri thinks that I want to ask something, which is weird. Is actually doing a Facebook Live, because probably during this 50 minutes that Mark and I have been talking, we've probably made a bazillion mistakes that if we were recording like ourselves, like and just recording it and then putting it up later, we would go, oh, that's crap, I'll have to start all over again.
Yeah.
Whereas because we're doing it live, we make the mistakes. People don't notice those mistakes while we're doing this. People don't necessarily notice the ums and the yahs and the other bits in there.
This is the 61st one of these we've done. Right.
Oh, cool.
And I have not edited 1 second of all those 61 hours worth of content.
Absolutely. And
because I'm just lazy.
Right. Yeah. And also you're smart, because it's not going to make it any better.
Well, exactly. The content's still there.
Some of the mistakes are the best bits.
Right. Exactly.
Dear. So if anybody else has got any questions, drop them into the comments right now. We're going to wrap up shortly, I think.
Yeah, sure.
We've taken enough of Jeff's time for one day. Is there anything else that you want to add to anything that we've not really covered, anything you'd like to talk about? Or is there anything that you think might be of interest to our audience, content marketing specifically?
Yeah.
You know, what can make their life a lot easier with creating content?
So just for everybody that is watching, like I do, you know, like videos, emails, ads, like across the board. So if there are any questions, like go ahead and
cool.
I'm in there.
That's a good one.
What video editing software would you recommend? I recommend ScreenFlow. It's like $100, super easy to use, does like amazing stuff for $100, and it does like basically anything I need to do video wise, I can do it in ScreenFlow, and it's great. So that's what I recommend.
We're all ScreenFlowers, aren't we?
Yeah. We're both +1s on that. That's like, you know, been using it for best part of 10 years now. And it's still it's just an uncomplicated piece of software. It's not like using, like, you know, whatever the equivalent Adobe thing is, where you basically get,
and all that kind of stuff.
You just get buried in like the elite level kind of video editing tools, whereas ScreenFlow basically just does exactly what you want and nothing else. It's like, it's really easy to get going with it.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say about ScreenFlow, their support sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And their forums suck.
Yep.
So if you need support, go to YouTube and type it in what you're looking for in YouTube, and you will find the answer there, because it's just appalling. If it's even that good.
The one thing that is solid about ScreenFlow is for the I've like had a few things like Mark, what you're talking about, where it's like, like how do I fix this problem? But in the course of like 10 years or whatever using it, it's been like a handful of those. So the amount of times I actually like have to find support for something is so small that it's one of the apps that I use on a daily basis that has paid back the $100 it cost me to buy the software probably like 100 or 1,000-fold.
Yeah. No, totally agree.
Well, actually, at one point, obviously you were in with Leadpages. Now, I remember when Clay launched Leadpages, from under his circular staircase, just doing videos.
Yep.
I mean, and that was probably the first time I'd seen anybody launch a product or talk about a product he was developing at the time. On video, and it worked. And obviously the company culture, that's right, carried that all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I actually missed it when he stopped doing it. I know you corporate boys came in.
But I mean, actually, there again, that was he was ScreenFlow, and also that highlights the point of what we were talking about earlier. Is it's like he just was like, well, I don't have a video studio, so I'm just gonna like film these videos here under my staircase, and like the company blew up. It doesn't matter like if it's high production quality or not, and generally that's a waste of time and money anyway. So.
I honestly believe that there is a big place in the market for just normal videos like we're doing here. But I don't know whether Tim told you, we take a 2-minute clip out of every one of these videos. So say something good for 2 minutes, and we just repurpose it, and we post it to 100 different places, and it drives traffic back to the website, and it takes no time at all. Probably an hour on a Monday morning it will take. This will be a podcast in about an hour's time.
Cool.
Well, actually, I'll do it tomorrow, but it will be a podcast. It's easy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So there is a question there from Randall. Do you want to bring that up?
Oh yeah. Good question, by the way.
Story play and creating an audience for your business. Meaning, are you concentrating a lot on your story? My initial reaction is you have to like tell your story in a way that's interesting, but more importantly, like you need to just like focus on the person that you're trying to help and their story. Like, I think it was Ryan Moran from capitalism.com kind of described it as like, you think of your ideal customer as a person that's on this journey, and you're the tour guide on the journey. So when they're at starting point A, what is starting point A to get them to starting point B? And then once they get to point B, what do they need to know at that point? And you're the tour guide that tells them what they need to know at that point. Then when they progress to C, what do they need to know at that point? And you're always just there, like helping them along the path, because through that, they're going to get your story and they're going to like understand about you and everything. But most people, myself included, when I'm doing stuff, it's like, I'm more concerned about myself than, like the company that I'm learning from. But through learning from that company, I start to, like learn about them and like, oh man, that's cool. Like, I'm using this as an example from Ryan Moran. Like, it was like, oh, cool. Ryan's awesome. Like, I'm going to look at more of his content because he helped me figure out point A. Cool. Like, let's go in. Oh, cool. He's got something to get me to point B. And like, it just naturally happens. Whereas if he was just like, hey, I'm Ryan and I did all this like cool stuff, I'd be like, bleh, bye.
Yeah.
Here I'm in my garage.
Yeah. You're not like helping me with the problem I'm looking for help with. So I'm going to go find somebody that will, and then I'm going to start that journey with them But if you look at yourself as like a tour guide and you like just focus on helping people when they're at each step of the journey they take with you, the results will be better.
I think that's like huge, like as a way of describing it. It's massive, because if you think about your own viewing habits on, say, YouTube, if you suddenly decide, okay, well, I want to search for how to invest in real estate,
right?
And it's like you discover somebody who introduces the basics of how to invest in real estate, and then you go, oh, that person's actually talking about how do I buy my first property, or how do I get my first, how do I get the mortgage to pay for the thing, and it's like each of the steps along the way is, and that person is essentially, as you say, the tour guide. I think it's a fantastic example, a way of describing what we're trying to do.
For sure.
So if you can answer the questions that your prospective customer is most likely to have about not necessarily your products, but the products that your customer is ultimately looking to buy, then they're going to be much, much more interested and much more likely to end up buying your solution. So that's cool. Really, really good. Cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
So how can people find you? If anybody's got any particular sort of like questions, what's the best place to find you? Is it Zipify? Is it where do people go if they want to find out more about what you or the company that you work?
You can go to zipify.com, and that's zipify.com. And if you want to like email me directly, I'm just at Jeff, Jeff.Wenberg, Wenberg @smartmarketer.com.
Cool.
And just hit me up. I don't know. I love talking about this stuff and helping. So however I can do that, let me know.
Cool. No, thank you very much for today. I think like there's been, a fantastic amount of content and enough things to move our audience forward, definitely. And I've certainly, it's been great having you on, because I know that I've learned an awful lot from you, from the stuff that you've done with Zipify and one-click upsell and all of that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
So it's certainly helped my marketing move forward a massive amount. So it's been a pleasure having you on today.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear.
Cool, good stuff.
Well, let's do it again.
Any final thoughts, Mark? Before we?
Not really. I think we're covered. I'm glad I got my voice back.
Yeah. You're a little bit tinny, but we'll forgive you for that.
Yeah, because I'm on these things at the moment. Sorry, as soon as Jeff popped in, all my mic died and headphones died and speakers died.
I must have blown them out. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Typical.
So if you guys, anybody who's listening at the moment, if you've not come across Mark or I or Serious Marketers Only before, if you go to the free group,
there we go.
Yeah, joinsmo.com/free. That's basically where Mark and I hang out and talk about all sorts of different stuff, marketing and business wise, all the time. So go check that out. Say thanks again to Jeff. I say if anybody's got any particular questions that they need answered, drop Jeff a message, and hopefully we've covered everybody's questions. So thanks very much again.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
See you later.